Been meaning to put this video up for a while. This is a follow-up to the CVT fluid change video that I did a while back. Today we're going to be working on changing the CVT filter, which is right underneath that bracket for the battery, that little mounting tab right there. Now I've taken off the resonator box for the air intake after the vehicle hit 150,000 miles. I'm at 206,000 miles right now, so I'm a little late on this filter change. I try to do this every 100,000 miles. After 150,000 miles, when the vehicle was no longer under warranty, I took off the factory resonator. Didn't really make any difference. I mean, maybe at low speed, maybe around 30 miles per hour, I get a little bit more of a rumble, but it's really negligible. I really can't tell much of a difference. So I pieced together this hose out of some leftover silicone elbows and aluminum tubing that I had from a turbo that I pieced together for an Civic EK chassis. And I've already put up the video for the CVT fluid change, so I'm not going to bore you guys with that again. But same procedure. I leveled the vehicle so that it's up on jack stands, and all the jack stands are at the same height, so the vehicle's perfectly level. I've already drained the fluid out of it, and there are 3 bolts that hold this transmission cooling thing in place. The parts arrived yesterday. There are 3 O-rings and the filter, which is $25, which is ridiculous, but this is the filter, 25450 PV4013. I will put this in the comments. That's what it looks like. Then you have these 3 O-rings, 91302 5T0003, 91303 5T0003, and 91305 PN4003. So you just pull the old ones off and put the new one in. And I've got, like I said, 207,000 miles on this transmission. It hasn't given me any problems. So who knows, maybe it'll go for another 100K. There we go. So here is the body of the filter housing for the transmission. There are these 2 bolts up top. I'm trying to get down here so you can see 1 and 2, those 2 bolts. It needs a 12mm socket. Those are torqued to 17 pound-feet. Broke them loose already. They've been on there for a while, so I had to get in there. These are 2 cooling hoses that go to the housing here. I'm not going to release those because I don't want to get coolant all over the place, and there's really no need to. Once you get the bolts out, you can pull the housing out of the way and you can get to the filter just fine. And you can also remove the whole battery and get this mounting tab out of the way, but again, I really don't need to do that. And I've got other things that I need to get to today, so I'm just kind of doing the quick and dirty version of this. I'm trying to get the phone positioned where you can see everything. To get to this first bolt, if you pull this cooling hose up just a little bit, you can get the socket here. And I've cracked it loose, and I'm just gonna back it out the rest of the way, hand tight, and then do the same thing with the other top. And then I'm going to get underneath and show you guys that 3rd bolt. And right there is the 3rd bolt, right in front of that little wire loom. And again, you can see the 2 cooling hoses right there. And there's no way for me to put this in my tripod and hold this, so I'm just going to crack this bolt loose and back it out, and then I will see you guys on the other side. Okay, and once you crack that last bolt, it's going to drain out some CVT fluid. Just let it run out until it stops, and that's why it's important to do this with the transmission drained. It's important to drain the transmission first and then let all that fluid out, because when you refill, you will crack this bolt right here, and you will fill the transmission until fluid runs out of that hole. And that's how you know that you've got the correct level. There's no dipstick, as I'm sure you well know, on these CVT transmissions. The only way you can ensure that you have the correct level is by filling it until the fluid comes out of that drain hole when you refill the transmission. And then the procedure will be the same as with the CVT fluid change. Once you have the CVT fluid in, you will go in the car and you will run the car through each of the positions: park, reverse, neutral, drive. You know, said gears on the initial video, and some smart guy commented, "Oh, the truth is the CVT doesn't have gears." You know what I mean. Don't be obtuse. You know what I mean. Just run it through each of the positions, let the transmission, and that's how you make sure the levels are correct. So I'm going to take this out, and then I will show you guys how to pull it and get the old filter out and put the new one in. Okay, so got the third bolt out, and you can pull this housing away. That's what it looks like on the inside. Those are two of the O-rings that you replace, and the filter sits inside. Where did I put my flashlight? It's really hard to get this angled correctly. I don't know if you can see that or not. I can see the top of the housing here. Yeah, there it is. So there's the filter. And you just pop that out. I'm going to do that now. And again, it's been in there for 100,000 miles, so I had to use this little pick to kind of reach in there and grab the filter and pull it out, because it was just not wanting to come out. You can see it's got some dirt on it. So again, this is the new filter, and you can see, I mean, it's picked up a lot of dirt over the last 100,000 miles. So filter does the job, and you gotta love Honda that this O-ring that's on the old filter. You gotta love that they have it listed as a separate part. It could just be one piece. You gotta love it. So this is the new filter with the O-ring on it. I've taken some fresh CVT fluid and put it around the O-ring just to make sure it seats properly, and I'm just going to pop it right back in. Down here, and I probably should not be doing this one-handed, but I'm just going to show you that it just pops right in there. And I'm going to make sure that I get this correct. Okay. So the new filter is seated in there very well. Oh, that's actually good. And you will feel it. You will feel the O-ring grab. When you push it in, you will feel a definite popping of the O-ring when it grabs. And you should position these two tabs right here. They're not exactly going to line up, but you can get them pretty close to where they are. So I'm going to have to reposition this. I didn't push it in correctly. You can see the two little holes. So I'm going to have to put those where they're level. Okay, so that's what I get for trying to do this with the camera in my hand. So I have it roughly parallel. It's off a little bit, but I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. And a good hint is to keep this little metal tab. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's a lie. Okay, so on the new filter, this metal tab was a good indicator of where the middle was between these two little dots, but on the old filter, no. So I guess you can't use that as a reliable indicator. And I'm just going to use this pick to take out the two old O-rings from here and replace them. Let's see if I can get this with the tripod in place. And when you're using the pick, it's a steel pick on an aluminum housing. Just always exercise a little bit of caution. Try to stab the O-ring and not dig into the aluminum, because these mating surfaces really need to be pristine. All right. And I've already wiped a little bit of clean CVT fluid on the new O-rings, and just going to press that into place. And I would really like it if it were a little bit more snug than that, but there we go. Okay. And I'm just going to wipe that down with a clean paper towel. I'm going to put this second new O-ring in here as well. Okay, so there you go. And wipe any residue away. I just felt a little bit of powdery grit. Yeah, you can see it's coming off on the paper towel here. And before I fasten that back, I'm going to just do one more check. Wipe a little bit more clean CVT fluid on that O-ring. Then position the housing back. And I'm sorry if you can't see this, but I only have so many hands. And I'm just going to put the bolt back in just to hold it in place. Nope. Okay. And my spring rolls need to be flipped. Okay. There it goes again, flashing. I don't know how well you can see this, but I'm just hand tightening. I have the extension on my 12mm socket, and I'm just hand tightening the bolt down to make sure everything seats properly. And I'm keeping an eye on the housing, make sure that it's mating with the housing of the transmission. And I'm going to fasten these two bolts and then torque them to 17 foot-pounds, and then get on the bottom and do the same. Okay, and there it is. And I hand tightened the bolt down as far as I could, and then backed it in the rest of the way with the just a ratchet. And I don't use, I treat my torque wrenches like they're sacrosanct. I don't use them. I will do everything up until I need to hear that click. And that's all I use my torque wrenches for. So I'm going to finish that up and torque that. And that is it. That is the filter change. Took me about 45 minutes to do all this with setting up the camera and the tripod and everything. It really doesn't take that long. And I'm going to fill the CVT with fluid. I'm going to pour in 3 quarts and then run the engine and run the selector through all the positions: park, reverse, neutral, drive. I do each position for 10 seconds each, and then I will add fluid until it runs out of the hole, and my spring rolls are ready. So I'm going to go eat lunch, and thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, please put it in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them.